From Cali to Tally, it's time to wake up. WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source, and this is Wake Up War Chant. Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hudjavandi and Corey Clark.
Back in the Midtown offices, it's myself, Aslan, he, Corey. It's Wake Up War Chant. Corey, how are you, man?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. I'm always good when I get to be in the Midtown office.
Yeah, it's good to be here, man. What are we going to talk about today?
What are you looking at there? You got the notes
I got
in front of you?
the game notes. I got the game packet they gave us at yesterday's weekly Willie Taggart press conference that was held at the museum. So I was going to see if there's anything in here that caught my fancy to give us something to talk about other than
By the way, when people hear
ledge
the
walking.
word museum,
yeah, okay.
you would think that there would be artifacts in there or something that portends to a museum. Like it would have any museum feel at all. There's nothing in there but chairs and desks.
Right.
It's been called the museum since I started on this beat 10 years ago. It is not, in fact, a museum. There is nothing in there at all.
No relics, no artifacts, no cultural
Nothing.
symbols.
In the hallways, there's pictures of everybody from the Hall of Fame class, but there's not like, Charlie Ward's cleats in there while we're asking questions. It's literally just tables and chairs.
I was thinking about that yesterday when I was standing up on the riser because they put poor Tim Linnefelt and Lane Hurt go in the corner and do like a whisper, like, "Oh, come in to Seminoles.com."
Yeah, because apparently that's the only plot of space in the whole building where they can do it.
Why don't you guys go around the corner there? But yeah, I'm like, this is a museum. I'm like, what was the purpose? Because it actually works out really good for its use
For what
on
we
Mondays.
use it as,
the press conference. It's actually a really good little spot. But I'm like, was that what they intended when they created this building? But they'll get to re-augment some stuff when they build the part of the Unconquered campaign, when they build that brand new football only facility, which will be nice and shiny and new and everything.
Wonder if anybody's taking their asking for their money back after 3 games. Not real fans, not those big money guys.
Hashtag don't be a fan later.
Yeah. Get on board now. Sure,
join it.
Hopefully, we won't see that many those kind of tweets the rest of this week. Hopefully, those guys understand that they need to stop with all that nonsense.
Well, I think now it's gone to the fans. There's a weird sort of like nobility fans get that when things are bad, I'm going to be the guy that thinks no matter what, this is all going to be fine. And if you don't, you're just totally wrong, and everything about you goes against the spirit of sports and athletics and being a fan.
Do you think that, because I agree on Twitter and on message boards, I mean, it's just prototypes, archetypes, whatever. It's just somebody's this guy, somebody's that guy.
Right.
Somebody's doom and gloom.
Ham haters.
Yeah,
ham
and some ham lovers. You're either doom and gloom, this is a terrible hire. Guys, it's going to be okay. Believe in Willie. But is it like that in real life? Like, was it like that in 2002 or 1996? Or did people just have normal conversations and they understand that there's gray? Like, you can be on board with Taggart and think that it's not.
He's a terrific human being and a very pleasant person.
But it might end up being a good coach here.
Yeah.
But also be of the mindset, well, man,
right now, 3 games in,
this is awful.
Check back with me later.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be. But I just wonder how much social media has kind of changed the way we communicate in general. Right. Our personas we take on. Like, I'm the ham defender. Yeah. You're the ham hater. I'm the ham lover. Or, what? I'm the Willie lover. You're the Willie hater. It's like, man, it's nothing is black and white. Nothing. Except, I'll tell you what's black and white. The Florida State offense is awful.
Oh, man, there was just some really absurd stats that Gene Williams was spitting out in his 5 takes column. Just like triple-digit ranked everything, pretty much.
They have played 2 ACC teams. They're averaging 5 points per game. They're averaging less than P.J. Savoy. P.J. Savoy hits 2 shots in a game. He's averaging more than the Florida State football team through 2 games. Yeah. I mean, it's just they're almost – you can't even put – you don't even need – but do you need to look at the numbers to tell you how bad they are?
What's crazy, though, is if I told you that Cam Akers was averaging 5.5 yards per carry, would you tell me that was
because he had an 80-yarder, right?
But still, I mean, he's carried the ball 37 subsequent times.
But what's his numbers total?
He's got 38 carries for 210.
All right, so he's got 36 for 130. If you take away the 80-yarder, which seems about right. Yeah. He did make the one run. You don't take that away; it counts. He's averaging 70 rushing yards a game. They're going to play 12 games. That gets him to, 840 yards? He might have a big one against Northern Illinois. Maybe he gets to 1,000 again. I think he's going to fall short of 2,000.
A little bit.
I think unless he really gets hot here in the last 9 games and rushes for 1,790 yards.
Maybe he'll start trusting the holes that aren't there. Okay,
so here's the thing. You were there for the press conference, so you know the first question I asked, and I asked about him multiple times, was about the quarterback.
Yeah.
Because I think, and I'm of the opinion that this thing cannot work. And I went back and watched Oregon highlights from last year. There's a clip on YouTube that shows, I think, all their touchdowns.
Oh, all right.
And there's a lot of them. They scored a ton of touchdowns. But I went back and looked at their stats, and I went back and looked at their highlight clips.
Look at Corey doing film study. All right, keep going. Trying. Keep going, friend.
So with this offensive line, I don't think you can do anything of note. Did you spill that on you?
Spilled it all over me. I tried to drink some water and not actually have it be heard with it hitting my microphone, and instead I just spilled it all over me. And it's so cold because it's coming from my ice-cold Yeti. This show brought to you by Yeti.
Aslan has a drinking problem. He can't get it in his mouth. So what this offensive line is, and we know what it is. I mean, where are we going to? It's already a dead horse, and we're just going to beat it until it's a skeleton by the end of the year. You can't just do traditional, we're going to hand it off most of the time. It's just not there. The linebackers and the defenders, even the cornerbacks, all rush to Cam Akers. They're all there. Mm-hmm. The dude has to keep the ball. He has to run 10 or 12 times a game. And I'm not saying Francois, I'm saying whoever the quarterback is.
Right.
And if he can't run because he's either hurt or he's not good at it or he doesn't want to because he's tired of getting hit as it is, then get somebody in there that will run. And I'm being dead serious. Let Cam Akers have a snap 30 times a game if you have to. Get somebody in there that can run. Because the only way you're going to run behind this offensive line is if there are legitimate 2 running threats in the backfield and you can confuse the defense at times. Or take advantage of the pursuit because they're all going after the tailback. So if you have Patrick and Akers in there, I just think, obviously, the only time they scored a touchdown on Saturday was helped because Francois had like a 25-yard run. That's got to be a part of this offense. And Willie, so anyway, to get to the point, I asked Willie about that. Like, do you want him to run more? Can this offense work if he's just sitting back there? And Willie basically said, I would rather him run and get hit than get hit when he doesn't see it coming. Yeah. Which is what happens all the time. He also said, and this is true, he's got to push up in the pocket. He can't sit back there at the depth of his drop and just be a sitting duck. And that's true too. He has to figure that out. He has to have some awareness. He has to scoot up. But I was encouraged, not a lot because it's what he's paid $5 million to do. I was encouraged that Willie Taggart seemed to understand, or at least maybe he's always understood, but at least admitted that they have to move him out. They have to move him. He has to roll out more. Mm-hmm. And RPOs. We all love talking about RPOs. Oh, yeah. Lord knows Chris Collinsworth and Al Michaels, they can't stand not talking about it. That's all they want to talk about.
Rigid passing options?
Yes. I feel like the RPOs in this offense are going to be the RPOs of my childhood. That's what they need to be. As in, the ball's going to be snapped to your quarterback. He's going to roll to the right. Mm-hmm. If nobody's open on that side of the field, he's going to pull it down. He's going to run for 8 yards. If somebody is open, he's going to throw it. Those are his run-pass options. Yeah. It's not look at the defense and the offensive line doesn't know if it's a run or a pass. I'm going to get it out quick wide or I'm going to hand it off. That ain't working. Get him on the move, and it's either going to be a two-read play. It's going to be a guy in front of you in the flat. It's going to be a guy downfield. Maybe a guy coming from the backside of the formation on a post. Those are what you're looking at. If they ain't there, take off. Sitting back in the pocket with 5 dudes trying to block for you is preposterous. They are averaging 5 points a game.
I mean,
with those athletes,
got to be able to block 4 dudes, though. I mean, we talked about it yesterday.
They don't. You're right. They should, but they don't. And now both their starting tackles are out. So it's going to be
Derek Kelly was announced as being out for the upcoming Northern Illinois.
So I don't know what you have. Jawan Williams again, I guess, and who?
Bello.
Oh boy. So you're in trouble. You're in trouble. Abdul Bello, for people that have played 50 snaps this season or more, is the worst pass blocking lineman in the country, according to Pro Football Focus. Oh. His grade is a 1.3 out of 100. Folks, out of 100. On Saturday, he had a 0 grade on 50 snaps. Keep in mind, that's not normal. Like, these are grades like you get in school. Like, I think Dontavius Jackson graded out at like an 81 for the game.
Yeah, he did.
The only red mark, and I think red is below 30 on Pro Football Focus on their graphs. The only red mark on defense was A.J. Westbrook tackling. He got a 28. Florida State had 3 linemen that had grades below 5 out of 100 on pass blocking. So, knowing that you have guys through no fault of your own, again.
Actually, Juwan had a 0. Abdul had a 1.7 in pass blocking.
Oh, for the game?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought that was for the season.
Oh, all right. I was looking at you might be right.
No, you might be right. But
I'm
either
looking
way,
at just a Syracuse game. I wasn't looking at the season. I was looking at Syracuse.
So 1.7 on 50 snaps. Juwan had a 0 on like 8 snaps. They got him out of there quickly after the first series.
That's
think.
Just, you know.
So I think Greg Fry was like, "Look, I'll give you one more chance. Let's see what you can do." And literally the first snap of the game, Francois is getting hit, and Francois got hit 3 of the first 4 times that Juwan tried to block. So you got to go with somebody else. That guy graded out higher than Juwan. He got almost to a 2. So, anyway, my point is you know you can't block it up. You can't. It's been proven. And you're only going to face better defenses. You have to make adjustments. You cannot just sit there and let that kid get killed. And he's not good in the pocket with awareness, nor would most people be with that offensive line. Some people have more of an innate feel. Chris Weinke, obviously DeAndre Francois is not a Heisman winner. Chris Weinke couldn't move at all, couldn't run. But he had that innate feel in the pocket where he could feel pressure, scoot up just about a foot, scoot to his left, whatever. Mm-hmm. DeAndre doesn't have that, and you know that now. So he can't, and again, I thought it was telling that Taggart said he can't just sit back there like a
sitting
duck. And he said, I'd like to see him move up in the pocket, hitch it up in the pocket a little bit,
climb the pocket, buddy.
But he's not. He doesn't. Fine. You know that now. It's not something I think I've always thought that pocket presence is either something you have or you don't. Some people have an innate ability to be able to feel pressure, scoot around it. Christian Ponder didn't have very good pocket presence. He always rolled to his right. So let that happen with Francois. Scoot his butt to the right or the left on almost every passing play. Move the pocket. Move it. So the guy on the left, the guy on the blind side that Abdul Bello's blocking, who cares, man? Unless you're going to sprint 30 yards, you're not tackling the quarterback. So great. It doesn't matter that he grades out as a 1.7. That guy that he's blocking ain't getting to Francois anyway. You can't just sit there and have that dude just drop back and drop back. So you have to change the offense a little bit. You have to. Because Francois doesn't run it well. And going back to the Oregon film, that dude even last year, the Herbert kid, he kept the ball. He pulled it. I saw evidence. He's a pretty fast kid. He's probably as fast as Francois. Now, he's a prototypical guy. He's going to be an NFL draft pick as a passing quarterback. But he pulled it and ran and scored a good bit. And that has to be an element of the running game. Or it's not with this offense, it's not going to work. They're also, not weirdly, Freeman had a huge year for them last year, Royce Freeman. Mm-hmm. And watching those films, I mean, there were gaping holes.
He also had Mario Cristobal as the offensive line.
Yeah, well, and I wonder, how long was Cristobal there? Was that just first year? Did he come with Willie?
I think so, pretty sure.
But so I looked that up. So I went back and looked up their offensive line. Like, man, their offensive line. So even the games they lost, like, remember we were talking about they lost 35-3 and 49-7. Mm-hmm. So I looked at those stats. So their freshman backup quarterback would go
Taylor Burmeister
would go 8 of 14 for 60 yards, or 11 of 25 for 96 yards. They would still run for 260 yards. In the game they scored 3 points, they ran for 260 yards. Yeah. So they were still finding ways to run the ball. They could still run the ball. Willie can't do it with this offense, with this offensive line, so he has to be able to adapt somehow. And so were you at least encouraged, getting back a long-winded question to you, that he admitted that yes, we got to move him, and yes, I would prefer him running more as opposed to sitting back there and just getting hit?
Yes. We'll be right back after this. Yeah, I mean, but then part of me is if you and I are sitting here and we're like, listen, he's got to climb the pocket better. They got to move the pocket, and then the coach is like, he's got to climb the pocket better. We've got to move we got to roll him out. It's like, well,
Well, but sometimes these dudes can be stubborn.
Yeah.
Sometimes they can be obstinate, and they can be like, no, he's got to learn to do it my way. That's not our offense.
Right.
Now, obviously, the offense, you need to scoot. You need to be a quarterback and move in the pocket. You can't just sit there and let guys tee off on you. But you can't, as a coach, let this continue to happen.
But see, when you say we're like rolling out the pocket, like that's one of those things where like he just takes the ball and he's even before the ball hits his hands on his lap, he's already like almost shuffling his feet to the right side.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
But at that point, I mean, does Abdul Bello have good enough footwork to move laterally to do that? I mean, or do you pretty much just tell
if you're rolling away from Bello, it doesn't matter.
Right.
It's the guy on the other side. Only one of your tackles has to make a block.
Well, it's just going to be Juwan and Abdul Bello or Brady Scott, and a lot of folks think that Brady Scott might be some sort of silver bullet. And I mean, Brady Scott was 2.8 on pass blocking against Syracuse,
so almost twice as good as Bello.
Yeah. So I take it back.
Legitimately, they had 3 guys grade out under 5% in pass blocking. So, but I guess my point is what they're doing now, just snapping it to them and having them stand there in the middle of the pocket, you need both your tackles to make blocks, and they can't. So limit it.
Yeah.
Just have one of your tackles have to make a block.
Better odds, right?
But also, man, even that, though, Francois, does he look athletic to you at all right now? Does he look any different? And I'm being honest. Does he look any different than Drew Weatherford when it comes to running the football? He's slow. He's tentative. He's not quick. He made a nice run in the open field against Syracuse a little bit, but he still didn't look like a
look
guy.
Better than Drew Weatherford, but yeah,
not by
I know
much.
The point
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, and I think that again, I know that he's coming off an injury, and he's not 100%. But if he's a quarterback that's running a 4.9, which is what he looks like right now, which in reality, when he's healthy, he's probably a 4.7 guy, which still isn't blazing by any stretch, but you can outrun linebackers. Can he outrun defensive ends right now?
Yeah.
Because if you're rolling the pocket, which you should, he's still going to have to outrun somebody to get to the edge. And can he even do that right now? Is James Blackman faster than him right now? And is Bailey Hockman – by the way, congrats to Bailey for transfer to signing or committing to NC State. If you didn't see that picture on Twitter, it's really disturbing.
It is.
It's a really odd picture of that kid. He looks just looks like something.
Bender or
yeah,
something.
it's an odd picture. But, I don't know that either one of these quarterbacks can move well enough for even that to matter much.
Yeah, that's I think Kurt Weiler from the Democrat asked Willie after the game, was there any consideration of giving James some burn? And he was like, what? So he can be one to get back there and hit. Listen, I'd love to see a story like James Blackman, like a kid like him come into the game and then give this team a spark.
Well, we're going to have to see him eventually. Francois might, and this isn't a joke, might end up in the hospital.
No, don't say that.
No, not as like he's fighting for his life.
Right, but we get it. He's going to be getting roughed up.
Break his leg or break his ankle or something or get a concussion. How can you – he's getting hit 20 times a game. Yeah. During the break, go to Syracuse's PFF and see how many knockdowns they had, because I want to know how many times Francois was actually hit.
Okay.
Because he must have been hit – he was sacked 4 times.
Okay.
He must have been hit 15 times. Like, not hit, knocked to the ground. And so that was Willie's point, is like, well, if he's going to be tackled anyway, I'd rather him be getting positive yards and running on his own. Plus, he can see the hits coming. So it's just got to be more of an option. You've got to scrap everything that's not working. And also the other thing, real quick, before we go to break, because I was watching some film of the game last night, and again, going back to the Oregon film, they executed that, the mesh point, either keep it or give it, so much quicker than what DeAndre Francois does. Like, they're so slow, that connection with him and Cam or him with Jock, that the linebackers all just fire up at him. Like, even if the lineman could block well, it's so slow, he's so uncomfortable doing it, that all the keys are red, and they're all in the backfield before he has a chance to do anything. Either one of them, really. And that's got to change. And when you watch the kid at Oregon run it, and you just see what it's supposed to look like. And again, to be fair, those kids were recruited. Herbert went to Oregon to run that offense. And so nothing really changed for him. DeAndre Francois didn't come to college to be a zone read quarterback. He came to play for Jimbo Fisher in a pro style. He's not good at this. This is not what he does well. I don't know that he can learn it like the kid at Oregon did. But that kid at Oregon had a head start because he went to Oregon. That's what he wanted to run, and he'd been running that for years. DeAndre Francois has not.
Yeah. All right, let's do some research. We'll be right back on the Corey Clark Show with Aslan Javandi.
You're listening to Wake Up War Chant Low Carb Beer for the Seminole Soul. Back to Aslan and Corey.
When something's broke, I wanna put a bit of fixing on it. When something's old,
All right, Corey looked like about 18 hits and hurries for Syracuse.
Okay.
And I don't know how many times Florida
So
State
every other,
dropped by.
I was going to say every other time he dropped back, he was being pressured, like somebody was in his face. Because I think he threw 37 times, maybe.
It's the new normal, brother. It's the new normal.
So let's hope they figure it out and switch it up.
42 dropbacks. I forgot. That's right. Nyquan. We had a double pass. Didn't work out, right?
Was that Nyquan that threw
Yeah.
it? Yeah, no.
So 42 dropbacks. 36 attempts for DeAndre.
I think DeAndre might have called that one. Like, hey, man, why don't you throw one for a change?
Do you think he had to apologize? Was it I listen again, arguments with my friend all the time, and you don't apologize. You just move past your friends, your men. That's what we do. That's what makes us different. Like, do you think Abdul Bello was down, like maybe just eating a box of Popeye's chicken on the bus ride back, and DeAndre was like, "Hey man, hey Abdul, sorry about that, man. I still love you."
No. I think DeAndre was on the flight wrapped up like a mummy. He could barely move. He's in a body cast. He's just eyeing through those holes at Bello eating, going, "You mother, you look at me and look at you, buddy. Oh, how's your food, Abdul? You able to get that down? I'm going to be drinking through a straw. I'm going to be eating through a straw in 2 months because of you guys. But hey, man, I hope you're having a good meal." No, I don't think DeAndre would do that. But here's the thing about Francois that we should point out. What Eberle said about him after the game. That he was the guy on the sideline saying, I believe in you, you guys can do this. And that's not – Eberle wouldn't say that if it wasn't true. I think DeAndre was saying that and was trying to encourage them. That one moment was the reality moment, though.
Right.
When Bello tried to pick him up. And he's like, man, screw you. Why are you always trying to pick me up? Keep me up.
Yeah.
Keep me standing. Yeah. So I get that frustration. But I do think that, obviously a lot's made about Francois and his demeanor and how he is as a teammate. But according to Eberle, who was there, Francois was being a great teammate throughout the game, even as he continued to get battered.
Yeah. I thought about this yesterday, but we had such a long show, or rather the other day when we did our Monday program. Kind of talking about, because we kept talking about or broaching the subject about, how much of this is Jimbo's fault, how much of it is Willie's fault. How much different are these two guys when you really boil it down, and how much different is Willie Taggart than pretty much every other Division I Division I coach than Nick Saban? Like, he needs a really good quarterback. I mean, you look at his record. What he did at Western Kentucky was somewhat impressive. I guess they went 7-5 2 years he was there. I don't even know, and he wasn't there for the bowl game, so they might have been 6. They were 6-5, I assume, at least 6-5 going to that bowl game. I think they won it. I think they won it. Maybe they didn't win
maybe
it.
They were 7-4.
Maybe they were 7-4. Anyhow, I mean, so he got 7 wins there 2 years in a row. I mean, he was, and I've said the story before. People in the industry figure that he was pretty much on his way out at South Florida going into 2015. They're like, that was going to be his third year.
Right.
He'd gone 2-10, 4-8, and going to that year, like, it's not going to work out for this guy. And he responded, went 8-5, and then they went 10-2.
And not just 8-5. Didn't he lose like 2 of his first 3 games or something? I know one of those games was Florida State when they came to Doak and Dalvin.
1-3. They started off 1-3.
So
they
at
beat Florida
1-3,
they beat FAMS.
Yeah.
The team they had beat.
So at 1-3 in year 3, after what'd you say, 2-10, 4-8?
Yep.
So 6-18. At that point, he was 7-20 at South Florida, and it got turned around. I don't know that anybody's going to be patient enough for a 7-20 start at Florida State, nor should you be.
Yeah.
It wasn't that bad. I get it. I see it too. I have eyes. There's no excuse for averaging 5 points a game. Let's get that clear. Even if you had no offensive linemen, you just put 10 wide receivers out there.
2 Mississippi.
Yeah, they can't rush. They can only blitz one down every 4. So he did turn that around. So he went 7-20 in his first 27 games. And then how did he finish out 2015?
2015, he finished it out.
Were they 8-5?
Yes, they were 8-5. So they ended up.
So he went 17-4 over his last 21 after going 7-20 over his last 27. So he did.
7-2, yeah.
So he flipped it. He flipped it.
Yeah.
He got his offense and got the guys he wanted, and they he turned that program around. They suffered through some awful times at South Florida until he got that thing turned around. I point more towards Oregon. And I think obviously the advantage he had at Oregon, because again, nobody at Florida, nobody in Tallahassee is going to be sitting through 7-20 going, oh man, please turn it around. You might be gone if you in year 3 you start 1-3. You might be done. That's just the reality of a place like this. South Florida, he'd have been done if he hadn't turned it around in year 3, but he did, right. And then it was a good decision by them. So, but Oregon, they were 4-8 before he got there. He comes in, they go 8-5, right? Correct. So he improved them by 4. And I'm telling you, folks, if the quarterback stays healthy, that's probably at least 2 more wins. That offense was – I didn't realize this. Against Nebraska, they had 42 points at half. Yeah. Against another 3 times last year, 4 times last year, they had more than 40 points at halftime of games.
One of them was Southern Utah. One of them was horrendous Oregon State.
Nebraska and Wyoming, and I feel like there was one more too that I'm forgetting. So maybe 5 times. But the point is, when you're looking at this Florida State offense, it doesn't matter who the opponents were. Right? Like this Florida State offense, you're not sure it could score 40 points on Southern Utah if they played for 5 games. So it has been proven that it works, that it can be lethal and simple when it's run by guys that know the system. Will he get enough time to install that? Well, you certainly hope so. It wouldn't. If you cut bait after 2 years, then obviously I just don't know that you would do that, unless. And we're going to be having this conversation for a long time, I bet. It continues to look like this, where it's not just that you're losing. It's that you look completely inept. And more importantly...
Well, they're going to slow it down, though, of course. Everything's going to be all right.
But what I was going to say is, more importantly to me and to fans that are rational, what adjustments can you make mid-season, mid-game to cater towards your strengths and alleviate your weaknesses? Can that be done? Can you do that?
I don't know. See, I mean, I would figure, I don't think it's as easy as just we're going to change this play around, we're going to roll the pocket out in it now. I mean, you're going to have to probably change the depths of certain routes. And
of course.
So it's
where you get your money. You're making $5 million a year, man. You've got a highly paid coaching staff. They got to earn their money, man. I know they thought it was going to be better when they got here, but it ain't. But you're still getting paid. You can't just throw up your hands and go, well, you know what? This is all we can do. You got to make adjustments. And Willie did that at South Florida. He ditched his offense when it wasn't working and went to more up-tempo. And by the middle of his 3rd year, he had flipped it. So he's shown that he can do it, that he can tailor his offense towards a quarterback that runs a lot, or last year to a quarterback that can throw. What he hasn't shown anything through 3 games that would give you any confidence that he can make these adjustments. But again, it's 3 games.
But it's his 9th year of coaching, though. Wouldn't you think he'd be a little more nimble and agile and being able to change and correct things quicker? I mean, at these moments in USF, this was year 4, year 5 of him being a head coach. I mean, now this is year 9. You would figure you're better prepared to handle stresses mid-season and change things.
Yeah, it's always a little more difficult because it's not like this is his 9th year with this program. It's his 1st year in a program. He maybe didn't realize how bad it was, which could be on him.
This is his 4th different program. This is what he does. He goes to different places with new people and makes them buy in.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, but what I'm saying is I think, it was never a quick turnaround. I mean, Oregon was the closest one where the 1st year he flipped it. Western Kentucky, they struggled his 1st year. I mean, you got to build stuff. Yeah. And at South Florida, they certainly struggled for 2 years. So Oregon was the one where he kind of flipped it immediately and would have had, I really think, a 10-win season if the quarterback didn't. I mean, they were abysmal in the games where their quarterback didn't play. But, he's 3 games in. I think, when you think about the season, so they start off, they did what they did against Virginia Tech. Then they have to play 5 days later. They don't get to really correct anything. They find a way to win. Hooray. You did it. Way to go, Willie.
You did it.
You did it. So I think game 3 was what he was pointing to, that Syracuse game, just like we were. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's really see what we got. We got 2 games of film to correct mistakes. We're trying to establish an identity. We actually made a drive there at the end of the game. Let's see if we can build on that. What do we have? How was this offense going to look? Well, now he knows. That game Saturday was, to me, the turning point. Should be the turning point, where that's the one where he says, you know what, man, I can't keep doing this. Like, it's not going to get any better if we just keep calling the same plays and if we just have the same philosophy. We've got to change something. I think after 2 games, that would have been too early because it was such a weird week. You played twice in 5 days. Well, now you got a whole week and you look like that. Now we see what he's going to do because now he got slapped directly in the face by his offense that said we can't block Division I linemen. We are literally statistically the worst offense in the country right now. So obviously he's going to change something, right?
The bizarre thing is they actually graded higher at pass pro than they did run blocking. Like Mike Arnold was 86.6 pass blocking, 58 run blocking. Cole Minshew was 84.2 pass blocking.
Here's the thing with
61
that, right?
run blocking.
There wasn't a lot of pressure up the middle. They did do a good job. Eberle and the 2 guards did a good job of keeping the tackles from doing anything. The Syracuse defensive tackles. There was no push up the middle. Those guys did do a good job.
Yeah.
Those tackles are turnstiles.
Right.
And there was no adjustment for that. Like at some point, burn them. But they're just rushing straight up field. Burn them somehow. Take advantage of that. Or also tell your quarterback to scoot his ass up when they blitz by his lineman like they're not even there. He literally just stood there like a statue, and they would meet at him. It was like they were in a race to see who could get to him first. And usually they tied. So, I think the 3 guys in the middle weren't bad. They're pretty good. So you have to account for the 2 tackles that can't block. That's what good coaches and good coordinators do. You have to figure out a way to at least make it serviceable this year. Without changing who you are, without going to the wishbone, without scrapping everything and becoming a power I football team, you have to figure out a way to make this work while still keeping your core principles, your core offensive philosophy the same. You have to help out those tackles. You have to. Otherwise, it's a coaching malpractice. You can't. But I think that's what's going to happen. I think we're going to see, moving forward.
Are they going to double down on trying to just run? They have to establish something, and that's the easiest thing maybe to do right now with what they have at offensive line. Like they have to just try to establish a run game.
I mean, again, you're every time the way he runs it, weirdly, I think DeAndre's much more to blame for the running game than he is for the passing game woes. I think he's so bad at that, Reed. They don't just run normal off-tackle plays or counters or toss sweeps. That's out of the book. So every play, it's either a read or it looks like a read, and he's really slow at doing it. So even if the line is blocked well, all those linebackers are firing at him because they see it's happening. It's so slow that they're getting enveloped before they can move. So I don't know if that's the answer. I don't know that you can establish a running game just doing what you've been doing. That's why I think it's got to be moving him out or letting Cam Akers take snaps. Because just doing what you did against Syracuse, what they rushed for 80 yards or something?
Yeah.
2.3 yards a carry against Syracuse?
Maybe go pistol. Would that help things out at all? 62 yards. Well, I guess they take the negative yards from Francois offsets all that. But they officially went down with 62 rushing yards.
Yeah, so probably 80 total or 85 with the sacks. Yeah, man, pistol, something. The diamond with Akers. You've got to, if you want to establish a run game, I get it. You need to. And he, again, last year at Oregon, even when they were bad and didn't have their quarterback, they were running for 260 yards a game. So this offense should work, even if you don't have a great quarterback. It should be able to work. But that ain't working. And I guess that kid ran. The freshman could run.
Burmeister, yeah, he actually had pretty good wheels. Yeah.
So he ran that offense pretty well from a running standpoint. Francois just can't do it. He can't do it right now. And I don't know that he's going to be able to do it, so you have to figure out a way to establish a run game, even through non-traditional options. Yeah. Whether it's a pistol or whether it's Cam or whether it's Patrick, whether it's Nooney, whoever, DJ, you've got to have somebody back there. Keyshawn Helton, have somebody. Where's he, by the way? We heard all about him in the fall. I don't even think he's caught a pass or played much. You've got to figure out a way to get a running game going because – just having that quarterback continue to hand the ball off and keep it once every 10 carries for 3 yards, is how you punt 10 times against Syracuse.
18 players played on offense for Florida State against Syracuse.
Was Keyshawn one of them?
No. So, I mean, they definitely did limit the bench. Oh, by the way, we should have gone over the over-under results, but let me see how many snaps Naquan got. He got 27. I think the over-under was 35. So.
All right.
But he kind of came to life there last drive of the first half. I wonder how much things would have changed if they would have got some sort of points going into the half. I don't know if really – I mean, it was 6-0 going into half?
Yeah, I don't know if Aguayo missing a field goal at the horn would have changed much.
Yeah.
But, again, that's another thing. Maybe your quarterback has to know he can't throw that pass.
There has to be so much synergy for Willie and his system where when your offense is rolling, how much that helps the defense, not just by keeping them off the field or by giving them more the ability to take more risks and chances because you have a lead. But just like if you're a defense and you see this offense going fast and just whipping up on another team, then you go out on defense, how much of it just makes your job more better. And that's the whole thing. It's all this. Just we see one problem, but underneath it, there's another root to it, and there's another root to that one. And because when this thing would roll, if it ever did get rolling, it'd be really nice to watch it. It just feels like we're probably not going to see it at least this year.
I don't like the excuse. It's not an excuse. It's an explanation. Well, the offensive line is terrible, so there's no chance. I mean, obviously, when you have a bad offensive line, the ceiling is only so high. The basement is not this. You should not be out. You should not have scored one touchdown in 2 games at Florida State. You have Cam Akers. You have 2 5-star running backs. Well, LeBourne was a 5-star until he got hurt.
They still have 2.
You still have,
you still have
2 5. That's what I'm saying. You have Patrick and Akers, 2 5-star running backs. You have those receivers who at least, you got to figure 1 or 2 of them is going to be in the NFL. McKitty's going to be an NFL tight end. You've got players on offense. You've got to figure out a way to get those guys the ball in space and limit your weakness. Don't let that become the excuse where you just can't, where all you're going to do is punt. Logan Tyler's going to lead the country in punts. Yeah. They've already punted 23 times in 3 games. You know how many times the 93 team punted?
17.
35 the whole season. 13 games they punted 35 times. Logan Tyler's already at 23.
Did you look at our guy Kason Beatty back in 13?
Well, yeah, no, I didn't. The problem with that is that they played their backup so much in the second half. Yeah. You can't get a real read on that. But I bet in first halves of games, he probably punted 9 times the whole season. Oh. So, obviously, this isn't the 2000. You remember that season?
Should we just, instead of talking about this season, should we just go and pretend like this is week 4 of the 2013 season, just talk about the team?
I was going to say at least once a week for the rest of the season. That's our promise to you, listeners. We're going to at least do a segment.
Or at least 90. You know a lot about the 93 team, and this is their 25-year anniversary. Maybe we can just celebrate them.
Well, that would be a historical knowledge for some of our younger fans to get to hear about that team. But I do think it's the 5-year anniversary of 13. So I think at least once a week, either for a segment or for a whole show. I mean, we got 10 more weeks of this, folks. We ain't going to a bowl. I got it. I've already made plans for the holidays, and it ain't Shreveport. But, this is going to be a long –
careful what you wish for, Corey. You didn't want to go back to Shreveport.
Yeah, man, that would be
so we're not going anywhere.
We got 50 more shows of this football season, so we've got to do something. So, yes, I think once a week, maybe even tomorrow, we'll do a segment where we're talking about – what was the 3rd game of that season?
Was it
Bethune?
Boston College?
I think it might have been Bethune and then Boston College.
All right.
So we'll take a segment and just act as if we're Wake Up War Chant from 2013.
And totally talk in present tense, but
of course, man, I think I'm be honest. I think if Jameis keeps playing like this and making these highlight reel plays, he might have a chance to win the Heisman.
I'm starting. Yeah, you're right. It was Bethune-Cookman. Yeah, week 3, September 21st.
And that did you see Matthew Thomas on that? Telvin Smith had that pick 6, but did you see Matthew Thomas?
Telvin? Yeah, Matthew Thomas is where it's at.
Did you see him running stride for stride with Telvin? So that kid is going to be a player.
Yeah, watch out. That
kid's
Marvin
the next.
Jones.
Yeah, exactly. He might go down as one of the best because he's going to stay on the field.
Yeah.
He's going to be a part of this team. He's all bought in.
Yeah.
So I mean, the sky's the limit for Matthew Thomas for sure.
And with Charles Kelly staying there and just coaching the linebackers, I think
great job and great at special teams.
Yeah.
And I think the Aguayo kid has something. Yeah. He's looked pretty solid through 3 games.
Well, we'll see. I mean, it's things started out good last year too, and then kind of fell by the wayside. But I feel pretty good through 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little concerned, I'll be honest, about the defense let Bethune-Cookman control the ball a little too much for my taste. I'm not the defensive line still needs a little work. I'm not sold on the Jernigan kid. Yeah. But other than that, I think the offensive line of scrimmage looks great. I'd like to see Benjamin start making some more plays. He made that great catch on Jameis's crazy rollout.
Does he have the clutch gene, though, Kelvin?
Well, that's just it, man. I don't know. I want to see, and I know we're getting way ahead of ourselves. We're like 8 weeks away, but I want to see if he can go down to Florida, to Gainesville, against those DBs and make plays. Because I haven't seen it yet. It's one thing to do it against Bethune-Cookman, but can you do it against those NFL receivers? Like Hargraves might be a Hall of Famer in the NFL. That dude is legit. He's going to be wearing one of those yellow jackets. So, I want to see what Benjamin can do in that setting against those DBs, because I know Florida started off not great this year, but that's a legitimate team.
Yeah.
They're going to be a bowl team for sure.
I just hope this doesn't start like another bad streak of losing to the Gators. I mean, you just can't lose to them at home and then expect that you're going to bounce back the next year in the Swamp, so we might have to wait another year to get back on top of that rivalry.
Look, man, the worst case scenario for Florida State fans is that it looks like Muschamp's got that thing rolling. So it's going to be tough for Jimbo for a while. And I don't know if you knew this, but they used to have a beach house together.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they knew each other because they were on. I think they were on Saban's staff at LSU together.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so they have a history, but Muschamp's got the thing rolling. I'm still not sold on I know he was great against Pitt, pretty good against Nevada.
Yeah,
didn't impress me all that much against Bethune, and I don't know. He's got, they got Boston. They got to go up to Boston next week, and then they got. Look, man, I'm going to tell you right now, that team after BC, they're coming in. You don't think highly of them yet because they're not a big name, but Maryland's got something. Maryland's got a lot of things going for it right now, and that's going to be a really hard game, a lot harder than people think. Forget about the Clemson game. You better, cross your T's and dot your I's for that Maryland game.
Yeah.
Or dare I say, it could be a problem.
Let's take a break. We'll be right back after this. It's Wake Up War Chant.
WarChant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. WarChant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WarChant30. That's WarChant30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WarChant30. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.
I'd fix it. I'd fix it. I'd fix it.
All right, back to the present day. Welcome back to the program. It's Tuesday, September 18th. It's Wake Up War Chant. It's Corey Aslan. Corey, so I started off last segment with this, and you didn't bite on it at all, so I'm going to try to just throw it back out in the water again. How much more different, and I say this kind of tongue-in-cheek, obviously, is Willie, or maybe his offense than Jimbo's, just because, listen, I feel like every coach out there, whether it was, obviously Tebow with Meyer, and then, he went third-string quarterback to win his third national title when he was at Ohio State. I mean, that's crazy. They had their third-string quarterback.
And he won one with Chris Leak.
Yeah.
It wasn't any great shakes.
Well, Dabo had, Deshaun Watson, and, Jimbo had Jameis Winston, and, Gene Chizik had Cam Newton. LSU had corpses. I mean, they had Matt Mock and Matt Flynn. So, but just, to see the best out of Willie's offense, obviously we want to see an offensive line kind of, come to life for him. But, just how good was, Quentin Flowers for him? That, you want to talk about, perfect marriage, I would think, for this offense. And, I don't know, maybe a guy like Sam, maybe a freshman. Maybe that, we want to see instant help on the offensive line, and that's not likely. But I wonder how much progress you could see if this Sam Howell kid from, the suburbs of Charlotte, North Carolina, is a guy that can run this offense effectively. Because so many offenses, Hugh Freeze runs up-tempo spread, or he did when he was at Ole Miss, and he had a Bo Wallace running, read option stuff. And he'd run pretty well. There's a certain sort of urgency and a buzz that you have to have around you when you're making that mesh point to break things and go. And a lot of guys have it. Maybe DeAndre just doesn't. And no matter how hard they want to put the square peg in the round hole, it's just not going to happen. So I just wonder, ultimately, we're talking about all these things that need to get fixed. Does he just need some sort of, maybe not transcendent quarterback, but he needs a really multifaceted, highly skilled quarterback to make this thing go?
Man, I think he needs I I don't know if multi-skilled is what I would use. I think he needs somebody that's a true running threat. Maybe not in 2 years. In 2 years, when he's got his own guys blocking, it'll be different. But in the short term, he needs somebody that can make plays with their legs, because they're not going to have time to make plays with their arm. That's the hindrance he has. And obviously every offense is better with a great quarterback, even a good quarterback.
Look at Alabama, man. Did you see them on Saturday against Ole Miss?
It's not fair, man. It's not fair. Somebody texted me this the other day, like, maybe Willie's getting a break because the next 2 years, it doesn't matter how good you are, you're not winning a championship. Yeah. As long as that dude's upright and playing for them, I don't see how they lose. I just don't. I mean, they've won. They've been so dominant with average quarterbacks. Now that they have a Heisman like a legitimate, not an A.J. McCarron Heisman candidate, quote unquote, right. A legitimate Heisman candidate, who very well might be the best quarterback in the country already. Man, it's just not fair. It's just not. They don't even need kickers. It's crazy they still even try extra points and kick. But so most offenses need really good quarterbacks to be successful. I don't think he needs Marcus Mariota to make this thing work.
Yeah,
I just don't. The thing with Flowers was, it was Flowers and what was the other kid's name? Mack, the running back.
Marlon Mack.
Yeah, who's a very good running back. Mm-hmm. Those two guys together rushed for like 3,000 yards between them.
Dude, Quinn Flowers, the last year Willie was at USF, ran for 1,530 yards. He averaged over 7.5 yards per carry, and he completed 62.5% of his passes.
So when you have a quarterback that's, number one, willing to take that kind of punishment, that I think his offense back then, think about, when was it? When did they play? 16.
Mm-hmm. In Tampa, the shootout game.
Yeah. So what were his –
Stop beating you.
Can you look up his rushing numbers for that game?
Certainly.
Willie Taggart they couldn't block that Florida State defensive line for too long. But their offense was, hey, let's let our quarterback run. They were going against DeMarcus Walker, Derek Nottie.
Really? He did that to us? 18 carries, 159 yards.
Yeah.
8.8 yards per carry.
So what I'm saying when it comes to this team this season is Willie Taggart knew going into that game his offensive line could not just straight up block Florida State. We can't just have our quarterback scan the field for 4 reads, try to find somebody while our 5 guys block Derek Nottie and DeMarcus Walker. It's not happening. Josh Sweat maybe was in that game. I don't remember. Brian Burns played some. Yeah. They just didn't have the horses for it. But look what he did.
Yeah.
He ran. So the offense must have been, okay, you're going to drop. You're going to look like you're going to throw for a half a second, and then you're going to take off on a draw up the middle. Or if your first option's not wide open, like it was on the first play when you just sprinted past Tavares McFadden, run the ball. I mean, he must have. So they scored 35 points, and their quarterback ran for 160 yards. The way this thing is going right now, Florida State's quarterback won't run for 160 yards all season. The only time they scored at all on Saturday was thanks to a quarterback run.
Yeah.
So that's got to be a part of this offense. It's the only thing that you really have an advantage is they can't account for the quarterback. They're not using a spy. So, DeAndre, when the pressure's coming, you hate to tell your quarterback, hey, look at the rush. That's not how you play quarterback. Yeah. But all bets are off.
Downfield. No. Eyes downfield.
Eyes 2 feet in front of you, my man. Yeah. But all bets are off with this offensive line and the way they perform so far, this whole offense. You've got to make his legs a viable option. And if he can't do it, then Blackman, make his legs a viable option.
He can't. He's worse off in that situation, I think, James. I don't think.
I'm just talking about, like, I saw, Matt Ryan scrambled for first downs yesterday. He had 2 rushing touchdowns. Yeah. He's certainly, James Blackman's faster than him.
Right.
And Carolina's defense is
better. Is he though, really?
Yeah. And Carolina's defense is faster than, Syracuse's. Like, if everybody's rushing upfield and all the D-backs are, the DBs are going downfield with the receivers, there's room there for any quarterback to run. You and I could run for 8-10 yards.
But you got to have some sort of elusiveness. You got to be able to, move side to side and move in the pocket and then accelerate up. Because, I mean, the way it's happening is
to make big plays, but not to make drive-sustaining plays. You know what I mean?
Right,
you could still get 11 yards or 8 yards. Or, heck, 4 yards is better than -8.
Yeah.
And so, again, I'm telling you, I think I'm legit. I'm going to be really, really interested. It's going to be a fascinating season. Obviously, we've never dealt with anything like this, watching a 3-9 type season. But what he does in the short term to make this offense palatable, because he cannot do what he did on Saturday, just continue to do that.
Yeah.
You just can't. So who starts taking snaps? Who starts taking snaps? If you really want a running game and your quarterback will not pull it, and when he does pull it, he's usually getting 3 yards because he's just lumbering right now. He's not a quick guy. You've got a lot of quick guys on this roster.
So, I think they'll probably laugh at you on headlines, and I kind of rolled my eyes when you mentioned it on Monday's program. But, I mean, I don't know. Why not? Why not try to go Miami 07 Wildcat and just, throw Cam out there for, make a big – but I don't know. I mean, if you make a big part of your game plan putting Cam in there Wildcat and it doesn't work, then what do? I mean, you just invest in all this –
you average 5 points a game.
Yeah.
There's really nothing to lose. The season's a wash, in my opinion. You're going to be lucky to win 3 or 4 games. You're going to be lucky to win Saturday with the way your offense is performing. So, but you've got to try something. You've got to show your fans you're trying something. And more importantly, you got to show your team you're trying something. That they believe you're looking for answers. That you're not going to just keep asking those 2 tackles to try to block anyone. And apparently Northern Illinois has a great defensive end, which is great news for Florida State. He might set a record.
So good. Speaking of unfair, real quickly, did you see that? Josh Gordon going to the Patriots.
Yeah, that's cool.
What a bunch of sissies.
I'm glad that worked out.
Lose one game and they start panicking. A bunch of punks.
What must he have done for the Browns to just – I mean, after all the things they stuck with him for, he hadn't played in 3 years, it doesn't seem like. And I say all the things. Well, he just keeps smoking weed, right? He wasn't arrested for anything.
I think it might have got
violent.
DUI.
I meant violent.
Right,
yeah.
right.
DUI is obviously not a great look, but nothing violent. And they stuck with him through all that. And then, By the way, did you see where you're for the people that don't know, and why would you? Because there's only about usually. I mean, this is like the Today Show in the Midtown offices. We have about 20 people outside the windows watching us record. Yeah. There's somebody here from Boise, which I thought was great, holding the sign from Boise,
What's
Idaho.
up with that?
But Aslan has his TV on, is on ESPN right now, and they're showing the replay of the the North Texas kid that did the fake fair catch.
Yeah.
So did you know that Buckley, Terrell Buckley, is the guy? I wonder. I wanted to see this guy's quotes because Terrell Buckley did that ironically against Syracuse.
Oh yeah.
In 1989 for a 70-yard touchdown when he was a freshman. He caught it and just stood up like that, and so everybody slowed down. And then he took off and scored anyway. Now, he might have scored anyway. It looked like the alleys were there, whether he had fake fair caught it or not. But I hadn't seen it since. Yeah. And one other thing real quick, because I'm still doing it. I'm going back to old Florida State great plays.
Go on.
Florida State against Miami in 86, maybe. They had a 101-yard kickoff return for a touchdown where Keith Ross ran to the 10, came out on a kickoff return, ran to the 10, and then threw it all the way across the field. To Dexter Carter.
TCU tried to pull some of that.
I was going to say, it's the exact same thing TCU tried to do.
And they had it, but they threw it forward.
Yeah, he threw it 5 yards for him. Come on, man. I mean, he could have rolled it over there. Why would you lead him? I mean, there was nobody on that side of the field. But that was an old Florida State play that Bowden used to call once every couple seasons.
Didn't some team a few years ago lay dead in the end zone, camouflage, and then got up and then?
That's what the TCU kid did.
Oh, they actually laid down too?
They showed him before the kick. I was at a buddy's house because we were about to watch the fight, and that was on. And they had the kid laying down in the end zone. And I'm like, what is that dude doing? Is he doing snow angels? And then he came out and threw it right to him. That's a really good idea. If he's not standing up, how many guys are actually looking to see if somebody's laying down in the end zone?
Yeah. By the way, his name is Sutton Smith. He's got 16 tackles on the season for Northern Illinois, 6.5 for loss, and he has 3 sacks.
What year is he, does it say?
I do not see.
Is he draft eligible? Is he a draft prospect?
Why? Come on, man. I can
Sorry,
only do
that's
so
my
much
fault.
research, man. The crazy thing is, ironically, we joked about, remember all the questions we would get during the Renegade Express? By the way, we'll do that probably Thursday, 850-792-5730, 850-792-5730. Give us a call.
850 Yakety Sack 6. Is that what it is?
850-7-YAX-30.
Okay,
7-YAX-30. Remember, they asked you, what fan base do you hate the most? And you're like Northern Illinois because you –
yeah.
And they're here.
Here they come.
Here they come, dude.
Here they come to get some sweet revenge for Jordan Lynch.
I hope somebody has a sign in the crowd we're here for you, Corey Clark. So yeah, that guy, he might pose a problem. But yeah, I mean, he said everything's on the table. Willie talked about, I think Gene asked him specifically, is there anything about maybe doing two tight ends that you were looking into? He's
Yeah,
like,
seven-man protection.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, the more I think about it, I know it sounds crazy, and I'm not trying to, patronize Corey here, but I would not mind to see maybe 3 consecutive series where you just go with Cam Akers at quarterback and just keep running with him and see what happens.
And that's not really the
that's not sustainable. I mean, that's not a long-term thing. But at this point, and I try to ask Willie, I'm like, I know this is your first year. You're trying to build something for the future. But at what is there a certain point where you have to look at instant gratification, short-term results, Band-Aids being worth it? I mean, you have to get some energy, some confidence in these players. Not to say the players don't believe in him, but listen, there's got to be a certain point where you're looking at the game film and you're like, okay, game plan for Northern Illinois is pretty much the same stuff we're doing. I mean, at what point does that make these kids bummed out? You have to try something different, even if it does look Mickey Mouse-ish or gimmicky. I mean, at this point, like Corey kind of said, why not? I mean, you're going to score average 5 points against Power 5 competition, then at least exhaust everything.
Yeah, and try to win. What they did on Saturday, knowing their limitations at tackle, that second half, it was just futile. There was not futile, F-E-U-D-A-L, but futile, F-U-T-I-L-E. Yeah. It was just futile. There was no rhyme or reason for it. It was not working at all. And you have to try to win games. And I know you're trying to establish your own identity, your own offense, and you're trying to install that. I'm not sure if the quarterback you have now is the quarterback that'll be the guy in 2019 anyway. So what it hurts is...
Wow, you're really...
No, I mean, I just don't... If this
Remember we talked about how good does a quarterback need to be in Willie's offense? We're like, does he really even need a good quarterback to make this offense go? And apparently, yes.
With this offensive line, you need somebody that can be quicker with the reads and is willing to run. You have to be able...
I wonder if that Nolan McDonald guy is a viable option. The walk-on and the third-string guy that was from the Air Force. He's Cam McDonald's brother, I guess, the really hot-shot tight end out of Long Beach Poly. I wonder how viable of an option he might be.
At some point you might need all the bodies you can get, and I'm not being flippant there. But that's the line that I wonder what Willie does. That's another reason why this is so fascinating is how much does he play for 2018? You're trying to win games. You shouldn't just go into a game thinking, well, I know this isn't going to work against Clemson, but
we have to set the tempo. This is what our offense is ultimately going to be, and we need to run it.
Well, you're going to punt 14 times against Clemson doing this. You're going to maybe get 100 yards of offense doing this. I don't even know how you'd get 100 yards unless you just throw it up and a couple guys make great plays. That's your only chance is to just throw it deep on every play. And heck, that's become like a 3-outcome play. You're either it's going to be incomplete, caught, or pass interference. Well, why not just throw it deep on every play and hope that your guy can go make a play? But at any rate, you're not doing that. So you can't tell me right now against good defense, even competent defenses, that this offense can do anything. You can't. The way
running
it's currently
running
the same scheme. So that's what I'm saying. But obviously, it's not sustainable for Cam Akers to take 50 snaps at quarterback moving forward. You can't recruit that way. How are you going to get receivers to come here if it's running backs taking snaps all the time? All that stuff. But you have to try something. And either the quarterback gets that he needs to carry the ball and run the ball or get healthy enough that he can be a viable option, or you get somebody back there that is. Because that's what you have to do to move the ball this year, in my opinion. You can't keep doing what you're doing. You can't throw the short stuff out wide because your receivers can't block. You can't run the zone read because your lineman can't block and your quarterback won't keep the ball and can't run real well when he does. So there's not a lot of work.
Did we not see this, though? Did he not see this in August?
I don't know.
Because he talked about our offensive line, they can block in practice. They're blocking our guys. And then this is not the criticism of Willie. It's
maybe
so
Brian Burns
crazy.
got tired of – well, and also we also need to remember that Landon Dickerson was out there all through August. Yeah. And he does make a difference. I mean, he's a legitimate offensive lineman. He's a good college lineman. Can't stay healthy, but he's a good college lineman. So that probably made a difference when he was evaluating things. And Minshew was probably healthy for some of it.
Right.
So now they're down. They're down their 2 tackles, which they couldn't afford to do. And then Minshew's hurt. I mean, he's playing, but he's not 100%. It's just a bad combination, and you have to adjust to what's in front of you now. And trying to run the offense that you thought you were going to have on August 20th, here on September 20th, is foolhardy.
Good word choice.
I thought so.
I got a question for you, Corey.
Okay,
So I still haven't seen Remember the Titans. Sorry,
man,
buddy.
all right.
And I'm a sports guy, right? Like I enjoy sports. I also do it as part of my living, right?
Do you want me to spoil it for you?
No,
They
I
win-
mean you
they
kind
win-
of have.
They win the big game.
Do they?
They win the big game, yeah.
All right. Thanks.
And the white players and the black players actually end up coming together and being a family.
All right.
But still, it's good to see.
I'll watch it. Also, one of these days I'll get around to watching. All right. So what do you think is more weird that I'm a sports guy and I've never seen Remember the Titans, or my lady friend's a lawyer and she's never seen My Cousin Vinny?
Probably you, but that's close. Man, that's like the all-time lawyer
That's
movie.
great,
He's
man.
doing his magic tricks like I got no questions. I got no more questions for this guy.
Done
Like
with you.
Yeah.
I was telling her that. She's like, what is that from? I'm like, you never seen My Cousin Vinny? She's like, no. I'm like, oh, my God, you got to see My Cousin Vinny. You're a lawyer.
Yeah, I think the difference is, was it My Cousin Vinny had to be like 1991?
Right.
I'm assuming your we'll call her your girlfriend.
Okay.
Your girlfriend is a little younger than you.
Yeah, she's 23.
She's 23?
No, she's 30.
I was going to say 23 and a lawyer. Wow, he's like Doogie Howser.
She's 30.
So she's 30. So how old was she when that came out?
Right,
5? How
right.
old were you when Remember the Titans
Okay.
came out?
All right. We see. So we know
You see what I'm
whose
saying?
side
You
you're
were
on.
like, that was your wheelhouse. You were in high school.
When was it? 2000-ish?
I think like 2001 maybe.
Okay. Yeah, it definitely wasn't high school.
So
Well, no, I was in college.
College.
At that point, yeah.
That's right in your wheelhouse. You should have. I think it's weirder that you haven't seen Remember the Titans, but y'all need to watch. Y'all need to do like a movie night and watch both of them together.
Okay. Yeah,
My Cousin Vinny's really funny.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, get done with you. I'm not done with you though, Willie. I believe in you.
Ralph Macchio's last big role until the reboot of Karate Kid here recently.
He's like, isn't he in some? He's out there in some pretty decent show. I think that might be on Netflix or.
He's in the Cobra Kai, the show on YouTube.
Right. But I thought there was something else he was in recently. I'm like, look at him, like this whole renaissance, Ralph Macchio.
Good for him. He's in The
Daniel's son.
Outsiders. He was great in The Outsiders.
Yeah.
So well, there you go.
All right, we're done. We're
We
gonna go
did it.
talk to. We're gonna talk to Walt and offensive players. The question. So people like, oh, you gotta ask the hard question. I'm just gonna ask Walt. I'm gonna be like, Walt, is there anything about the fundamentals of Greg Fry's blocking scheme that doesn't marry well to what you guys are running offensively? That's gonna be my question.
Okay, what do you think he's gonna? Yeah, there is. I can't believe Willie hired him.
Well, no, like there's some things that we, technically or terminology-wise that we need to. I don't know. I mean, there has to be something. I mean, what am I going to ask? Hey, man.
No. I mean, there's that question is legitimate, but you have to ask it differently,
Right,
because
well,
otherwise you can't. He
how's he
can't
gonna
win.
answer it? Yeah.
Yeah, he's not going to say, well, yeah, actually, yeah.
Well, like, there's things that we can improve that we're going to work on this week. That's the kind of thing I want to see. Like, oh, actually, there's been a couple things that we've some miscommunication stuff that we've had between the two, but we think we've got figured it out now. Moving forward, will be all right. I mean, he probably won't say it that way, but I don't know. Hey, I'll ask him. I'll ask him if he's going to play James Blackman at all. He's going to tell me no. DeAndre Francois is
Ask him if he
that's
thinks the
problem.
offense is getting ready to take off. Maybe 2 touchdowns this week. Maybe 13 points.
Do you think we'll have DeAndre?
I hope so. I bet he'll be a real joy to talk to again.
By the way, somebody tweeted at me the other day, like,
I want to say this real quick, though.
Yeah,
He
sure.
did come out and talk after
he's
the
great
Syracuse
after
game.
games.
And
He's
so
great
did
after
Everly.
games.
Those guys are consistently coming out to talk after games,
Yeah.
after bad games, after losses. They come and own it. They sit there and not wear it because they're not getting berated.
He's much more thoughtful after games. It's pretty weird. He's much more thoughtful after games. The practice stuff he doesn't seem to like.
Not a morning person.
Yeah. See, that's another thing that's a total bummer. That's the double-edged sword of losing to Syracuse. I was really hoping, I'm like, man, if they do turn this around, maybe there will be part of Willie that's like, all right, we practice early in the morning, we play really good early in the morning, so maybe we need to kind of keep that, some sort of synchronicity between those two things. But apparently, I mean,
You mean like if they play in a night game, they practice at
yeah,
night?
hey guys, we're gonna practice at 5 p.m. Like,
Yeah.
ooh,
Nope.
You sexy man, Willie. Thank you,
Nope.
but no, it's not gonna happen.
8:30 in the morning, we'll have to be out there.
We'll be out there. We'll talk to those guys, and we'll let you know what we think about what they say. That's what we do. It's Wake Up War Chant. Thanks for listening, folks.
The Sod Cemetery, Osceola and Renegade, and of course, the War Chant. These are great traditions known to all Seminole fans. If you are a card-carrying, garnet and gold-wearing Knoll, don't you deserve a site that is truly dedicated to covering FSU sports? WarChant.com's staff has over 50 years of experience covering the Seminoles. WarChant.com is the only FSU outlet with a full-time recruiting analyst in Tallahassee. Plus, it's the only site with a full-time videographer and a daily podcast, 100% dedicated to FSU sports. Why act like Gators and settle for second best? WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.